Welcome everyone to another Wednesday night with your host, Coach Menachem Bernfeld, the fundamentals to gain inner peace. And tonight is class number 48. And yes, tonight is a time to reflect. It is the end of the year. Another few days left to the year. And it's a time to think about what's going on. Time to stop and make a cheshbon nefesh. Where am I? To stop is not so easy. And this is how we started our program 48 sessions ago, 48 Wednesdays, Baruch Hashem. And that's one thing that I'm looking back and thanking you, feeling grateful for all of you for being here, those who listen live, those who listen to the recordings, and the feedback. It's really amazing just to see how no matter what age, no matter where you are, no matter what's going on in your life, change is possible. Even though I say many times you don't have to change, you're good the way you are. But that's how change happens. Just you find yourself in a positive place, more relaxed. And for those who thought change has to happen in the external environment, the things around them, whether it's work, family members, or whatever it is, and then they find out that we're not here to change anybody. We're just here to look inside. Where am I? How do I feel? And if you become in touch, become aware of how you feel, and add some positivity to that, automatically things change around you. And you're surprised. Wow, things are changing. I feel better. I feel better with what's going on outside of me, feel better about myself. And that's the change we're looking for. So yeah, thank you very much for the feedback. Last week, we had a little bit of a guided Rosh-Hashanah meditation for those just to get ready for Rosh Hashanah, to see how we feel, what's our relationship to ourselves, our relationship to Rosh Hashanah, our relationship to Hashem, our Creator, our Father, the ideas, just the way we look at things, the way we feel, where we picked it up from. We all walk around with bags of stuff. We pick up and we put them in, sometimes consciously, sometimes subconsciously, but they go in, and we're walking around with bags. They can be positive, negative, but it's always important to be aware of how do I feel, and then eventually to see how to change that. Where is it coming from? Do I need to carry it around with me, or I can let it go? Do some deep breathing, and those things that don't serve us, doesn't work for us, you let it go. Like the waves that come and go. It takes time, not easy, but you learn how to let these things go. So let's discuss the end of the year reflection. And what we're going to be talking tonight is not only the end of the year, it's the end of a day, the end of a week, a month, or it could be a quarter. It's important to sit down and see, what am I working on? Where am I going? What do I want? How is it working out? And the main thing is to walk away from taking the time to stop. The main thing is, if you have to walk away with some positivity. And there's nothing to talk about. If you're walking around, if you're stopping and trying to see what's going on, and you walk away with only negative, what's going to happen is either you're going to stop, you're not going to continue, it's not working, or even if you do continue, but it's going to be pathetic, like we discussed, without life, shut down. Because if you walk away with negativity and there are no positivity to latch onto, then how long does it last? So we shut down. Either we stop or we shut down. So it's important to learn how to make an end of the day reflection, how to reflect the end of the day or the end of the year or whatever it is. So anytime you stop to see what's going on, what we need to do is look at the full picture. There are positives, there are negatives. It's just not possible there shouldn't be positives. And the negatives are usually easier, but there are always positive and negatives. They're always both. We're going to learn how to see them. And that's the most important thing to become aware of, so that to continue. If you want to continue, to grow, to go on another day, another year, it's only with positivity. That doesn't mean we're not going to look at the things you don't like, and maybe we could tweak, change, do things different, but we always have to find the positives. So, for example, if you're running a company and you have a meeting every quarter, and you sit down with your employees, what's very important, and I'm sure if you're an employer, you understand how that works, you have to give positive feedback. If all you're going to do is bring out the negatives and the things that are not working, what are they going to feel like? Doesn't feel good, doesn't feel like we're appreciated, doesn't feel like that the boss enjoys or feels that we're doing something. If all he does or she does is see the negative and the negative again, how does it feel? So most of the employers know that you need positive feedback, whether it's the end of the day or when you sit down to see what, what's needed to be done differently. But you have to do it with positive. That's the only way. And think to yourself, when you get a positive feedback, how do you feel? Negative feedback, how do you feel? So if you want to keep the people in the company, you want them to be motivated, you want them to continue, you want to see the growth, there has to be positives. And the same thing is to ourselves. We sit down with ourselves to see feedback on ourselves. What's the feedback you're giving yourself? So how do we do this? The first step is, let's say you take some time to stop. First thing is to become aware of your mood. So you can ask yourself the question, okay, so now I have a few minutes quiet. Let me look back. How do I feel about the past year? And many people looking back they only feel negative. They're not happy. Things are not working out. There's a lot of negativity in their life and they're upset. So if you find yourself in that situation, very important is to listen, like we discussed. I'm not going to come here and tell you right away, oh, you have to see the positives. Don't kvetch so much. We're not going to run to the positives right away. This is something we discussed in the past. If you're in a bad mood, if you're upset, if you're angry, if things are not working out, let me hear about it. And if you're doing it to yourself, listen. Listen. What are the voices? Why are you so upset? What's going on? And you can write them down. Makes it easier. Just write down all the things that you're not happy about. Listen. And this is that inner child that we discussed. So when you stop to reflect, which a lot of people, they don't have time to do this, what happens is sometimes the inner child comes out. And that's the reason why it's so hard to stop and reflect, because sometimes it's just negative and it's iffy. We don't want to be aware of it. So might as well be distracted, continue with our regular routine. Why should I stop and see what's going on? It's so painful for many. And if that's how you feel, just be aware of it and be there for yourself. I'm here for you. sitting with you in that pain, in that negativity, and keep on breathing, because the only way how to get through is by going into it. So that's the first step. If you find negatives, if you feel negative, you don't see the positives, that's okay. Don't run away. Become aware of that. Listen. Listen to it just like your child comes to you and is upset. Don't tell the child, there's so much good in your life. Why are you kvetching? Count your blessings. Stop it. You don't want to do that to the child because you don't want to shut down the child. The child feels whatever they feel now. They feel negative. They're upset. That's how they feel now. Listen. In the same way you listen to your child, you listen to yourself. What comes up? What's the complaints? Why are you not happy? What do you feel like? We're not going to discuss if it's true or not. We're not going to discuss if you have more positives than negatives. That's not the place. Now, listen and validate. Listen listen to what comes up to yourself, those voices, negative voices, and validate. Don't say it's not true, even though it's harder on ourselves, because by ourselves, we feel it's true. But validate. If this is how you feel now, then this is how you feel now. That's it. And be there and breathe. Listen. And this point we spoke about many times, but it's a very important piece before we go to any positives. Before you go to any, you want to work on yourself, you want to be in a positive state, you want to feel good about yourself, before you go there, sometimes that could be escaping. So, it's fine, I'm good, life is good. By doing that, it could be escaping. Really deep down, you're not happy. And deep down, there's negativity and you're stressed out. But, Hashem runs the world. How could I complain? And we have all these ideas, which are great ideas, but it doesn't let us go into the negative. But in order to heal, to get to the positive sides, to really be able to sit with the positives, is only if we see the negatives, if we learn how to sit with the negatives and say, this is something I don't like. So that's the first piece. If when you sit down to reflect, the negatives come up, don't push it away. Write it down, be there. And if you can't shift to any positive, that's fine. Come back tomorrow. Listen, spend some time there, write down, do some breathing, close your paper, and go on. Just listen. So that is the first step. Usually, if you can listen, you do some deep breathing, you do jot down some ideas that you're angry about, that you don't like, things will calm down. So it is possible that you'll be able to continue the second step, but if not, don't push yourself. It's okay, listen to the negative, just be there, listen, and then you'll come back tomorrow. Very important. Give it some time, some self-care. Take a walk, a warm bath, take a drink, relax. If you find yourself in a positive place, you can go to step number 2. You find yourself in a calm place, positives. Yes, you did find some negatives, but you're okay. You're relaxed. You're in a good place. So now let's look back at the year. Let's see what it looks like. How do you feel? And it's easier sometimes to look on a day before you go to sleep. You're relaxed. You take a warm drink and you think to yourself, what did my day look like today? How do you feel about your day? How do you feel about your progress? And what are those voices that come up when you ask yourself those questions? Positive or negative? So now let's write down, let's make a list of positive things and the negative things. You had a list of 10 things you wanted to do today, and you only did 5. How do you feel about that? Are you focusing on the 5 things you did do today, or on the 5 things you didn't do? You feel so bad. You wanted to do it. You're pushing it off already for a few days. So you might be focusing on that part and you don't feel good about it. And this is an example for the whole year. You look back, there's so many things. I don't know if you're the type of, on Rosh-Hashanah, you make Kabbalahs and you write down, what am I going to do this year? And then you look back, did I do it? Or I didn't do it. Maybe I did it 15 days out of the whole year. It worked a little bit. Every month in the beginning, I tried. So what are you focusing on? The positives and the negatives? How do you feel? Very important. And if we can stop for a moment, and if you can share in the chat, just take a deep breath. There's another few days left for the year. This year's almost over. How was your year? Do you feel positive, negative? You didn't really think about it, not sure? Feel free to share in the chat. The chat comes only to me, so you can write whatever you want and whatever comes up. Just jot it down. The awareness is very important. And this is even when you're in a relaxed state. You're calm. You're looking back. And what comes up? What are those voices? It might be saying, it didn't work. I tried. It didn't work. Or I've done this for many years. What, should I do it again? Not really motivated. So just being aware of what does your year look like? How do you feel about it? The end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the month. The end of the day before you go to sleep, how do you go to sleep? You go to sleep positive, feeling, wow, I had a beautiful day. It works. I love it. Looking forward for tomorrow, another day. Or didn't work. It just didn't work. So many things going on. I tried. I have so many things on my list. I didn't get it done. This has been on my list for many days and weeks. And here I am. It's not working. So becoming aware of this positive and negatives. Very good. Thank you for sharing. Some people have positive. They can find some positive. Some people can't. Some people, it's too hard. Some people look back and they say, wow, everything is working. I would love to talk to you after this class. We can discuss, becoming aware of, is it an escape? Everything is fine. I'm good. Don't open the can of worms. Everything is good. I'm good. Or no, it's really, when I go to sleep, I feel grateful. I'm calm. I love where I am. I love what I'm doing. All of that positivity, all of that is important. So that's the first step. If you're in a relaxed state, again, if you're not in the moods, if you're in a negative state, don't do this. But if you're relaxed, calm, you can look back and see, how do I feel? How do I feel about the year? What are my feelings? If there are no feelings, some people would say, I don't know, whatever it is. So that could be apathy, what we discussed, pathetic, after many years or after many days, going to sleep feeling it's not working. What happens is we shut down. That doesn't mean I'm not going to stop what I'm doing. I'm still continuing. Get up in the morning, daven, go to work, do what I have to do. I have my schedule. But life is missing. Something is missing. And it could be because deep down, you really feel, or now you don't feel it, but you felt for many days, weeks, months, you felt it's not working. It's not going. I'm a failure. I don't like myself. And if that's how you felt, then this is what's going to come up if you stop and you don't want to go there. So many people shut down. Shutting down means, I don't have any feelings. Yeah, it's good. It's pretty good. It's fine. Just a second. Beautiful. Yes. So again, yeah, everybody's going to be able to find the positive feedbacks. It's just not possible because there's always positive no matter where you are. But we're going to work on that. So the first step is to realize what comes up when you look back. How do you feel? What the voices are, what comes up. And for those who don't see any positives about themselves, about their life, it might be a good idea to speak to someone who can help them. You go to someone that knows you, say, do me a favor, tell me what other progress do you see on me? Do you see things that are working? Tell me as an outsider, give me some positive feedback. Don't be embarrassed. Do it to someone who understands you're doing this work, you're on this journey. Ask them for some positive feedback. And when they come up with a list, which they will, because think about yourself. If somebody asks you, you'll be able to find positives for them. Even on yourself, you might not find, but for them, you'll find. So when they come up with that list, don't push it away. You might hear a positive from your spouse or from a friend, and you say, nah, not really. Just trying to make me feel good. Don't push it away. Learn to accept. A positive, take it in. Some people feel they don't deserve it. They're not good enough. And then when they hear positive, they cringe. Not really. Oh, yeah, not me. Maybe. Be aware of that. And that's because deep down you feel you don't deserve. And that's why you're walking around and empty. So take that list that they wrote, read it over and over, take it in. And it's important. The way you feel makes a difference on people around you, relationship, your spouse, your kids at work. It makes a difference. And if you're looking to change, we're not here to change the external environment. We're really here to change ourselves. And this is one of them. If you can't see any positives on yourself, it's probably going to be very hard to find positives on your spouse, your kids, and the people at work, any relationship. So it starts with ourselves. Take in the positives. And this is one thing that we as coaches, when we meet people, after a while, every few weeks, you stop and you say, okay, now give me some positives. And in the beginning, many people don't have. It's not working. They don't have positives. Give me, you're working on something, whether it's at work, we discussed it last week. Now give me some positive feedback. Why is it so important? Because if they don't have positive feedback, then growth is not possible. You're not going to go on the next rung on the ladder. If you don't see it working, if you don't see where you're going, then you're not going to go. You'll stay there or you'll go down. So very important. We need to pick up some positives, and there's always positives. You can start by taking a deep breath, relax, and make a gratitude list. Makes you feel positive. Start being grateful of what you have. And then start saying, you know what, maybe I could find something. And we all have. Many of you on this journey have shared feedback. Since we started, there's a lot of positives in their life. Now, did it change? Not necessarily. It could be everything stayed the same, but you start smelling the fresh air, seeing the colorful flowers. And that's important. Start seeing that things are working out. So really, what's the goal? The goal is to be able to walk away from our day, from our week, month, year, whatever it is, with a positive note, feeling good, seeing that it's working. I'm growing. I love where I am. It might be a powerful statement, but yes, it might be okay. I'm okay where I am, where I love where I am. I am growing. Hashem loves me. I love myself. I am here. I'm exactly where I need to be. That is the goal. And that's important, because if not, you're not going to sit down to reflect. If all that comes up is negative, you're not going to want to reflect. So to be able to sit down and reflect, to see what's my next step, you always have to latch on to the positives, write them down, feel it. Like there's a saying, life is a journey. It's not a destination. A lot of people feel, when am I going to get there? When am I going to get there? The secret I have to tell you is you are there. You're there now. You're there now. Exactly. Listening to me now, where you are. This is where you need to be now. Take it in. Feel the positives. If you hear those negative voices saying, I don't like where I am now, I need to change, just listen to those voices. Become aware of those voices. Important. But that's the goal. The goal is to be able to, end of the day, say, where am I? Now, that doesn't mean that things you want to change. Again, if you have a list of 10 things, you did 5 and 5 are still waiting around. Okay, so you're going to come up with a way. How am I going to fix those 5 things? What am I going to do tomorrow different than today? Beautiful. That's fine. But are you focusing on the 5 things you did do today? Do you feel the positive? Start doing that. Don't be so harsh on yourself with all the negatives, always negative. Some positive. Let's go. Pick up some positive. Beautiful. So that's it for tonight. Start, if you could spend the next minutes, put in some positives in the chat. Anything that comes up, looking back on your life. Oh, I'm not going to do that. Just on the year. Look back on the past year. Find some positives and share them in the chat. Let me feel some positive energy. And that is really what we're looking for. And tonight was the last one from this year, the last session. And Mitzvah Hashem, we'll see you next year, next week. A new year, fresh year. And you should all have a ksiva v'chasima tova. And start living with the positives. Good, beautiful. Positive, send them in. Wow. I grew up with parents telling me you'll do better next time, especially when they saw that I was unhappy with my results. Okay, why can't others give themselves such self-talk? Okay, it's also important how you took that information when your parents said you'll do better next time. You know, some people see that as positive, some as negative. But why is it so important to give ourselves positive feedback and it's much easier to give others? That's a great question. Let's think about it. I think it's pretty clear, but just to be aware of that, it's so, for many, again, it's hard for many to be there for themselves. Self-validation. Just to give themselves positive feedback. Say, you're doing great. You go to the mirror, you look that person in the eyes, and you say, wow, keep it up. You don't have a hard time doing it to your friends. If a friend calls you, they're down, they feel they need a little bit of encouragement, you can do it. But why, when it comes to ourselves, we have a hard time doing that? Think about why. And once you become aware, you see how you feel about yourself. You become aware of why it's so hard. And I just heard this week that many people don't really like themselves. Deep down, they don't like themselves. And sometimes that's the reason why we want to change. And I believe it's coming from a negative place. But if deep down you don't like yourself, then we can't really trust what you're thinking about yourself. If at the end of the day you feel negative, that's not true. It's probably not true. Go speak to someone who can help you slowly shift that perspective that the way you look at yourself. Because we're a negei b'davar. If we don't like ourselves, we can't say anything about ourselves because whatever we're going to say is going to be negative. So things have to change, a shift. But that's the first part. The first part, just be aware that it's hard for yourself. And then start writing down, finding some positives, things that you did do. The child came on with a test and got 2 right. That's it, only 2. So, it's a funny joke. Only 2, so I should compliment them on those 2, but they failed. It's miserable. So this is where we are. We focus on the negative. We focus on the things that we have to fix. Focus on the things that are not working out. And that's where our focus is. And if that's where our focus is, that's what we're going to feel. That's what our life is going to be all about. If you want to grow, start looking at those 2, that child. They actually answered 2 questions. How did they know it? They knew it. There was a question, they knew the answer. That's amazing. Not 1, 2. Wow. That means they knew something. That's really, really amazing. So you see the difference? You see what the focus is on? Beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing. Yes, again, if whatever feedback you got, you always have to see how you felt about the feedback. And if you feel positive about it, it builds you. You feel good about yourself. Whatever that teacher said, whatever the parent said, if you feel good about it, it makes you feel good. You have that cozy feeling inside, like, wow, it built you up. That's beautiful. That's going to help you go to the next level, to continue that's what builds self-esteem. And that's what we need. Our kids need it. We all need it, no matter what age. And it doesn't make a difference where you are. We can always start giving it to ourselves. What we'd like to hear from that other person to validate, what we'd like to hear from that parent, from that teacher, and start telling it to yourself. You can do it. So that's it for tonight. Thank you very much again. When I look back at my year, yes, there's a lot of things that I'm grateful for. And one of them is this platform over here, Wednesday nights. And again, I want to thank you all, those who come live or listen to the recordings, and for those who share the feedback. It's just beautiful to see how things happen. Things just happen, You might be in a place, you might think nothing's going to change. This is where I am, this is what's staying, but slowly, with some meditation, guided meditation, deep breathing, some validation, all of these things, slowly things happen. So thank you very much for being here tonight. Have a ksivach simatova, a good gebencht year. You should be able to be there on Rosh Hashanah. Be there for yourself. Connect with yourself. Connect with Hashem. And whatever it is, you embrace it. You're there. You're breathing. You're not running away. And slowly you start building up the positives so we can have a beautiful, great year, Mitzvah next year. And we should all be counting the blessings. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll see you next week, Wednesday night, Mitzvah, next year.
God bless you.
Amen.